And I think, yeah, I think we're lucky today. That's all I can say. I think I'll leave it to the next question.
Dr. Ella, the scientist, Krishna Ella, the entrepreneur. Which is more exciting and challenging?
I mean, I'm still a scientist. The mind is scientist, I'm not an entrepreneur. And I will never be an entrepreneur and never want to be also an entrepreneur. Science is my passion. And I think the science, it's just a simple biology. It's a simple biology, you look at it, I want to lose my weight. I thought eat more protein. I lose my weight. And then when I start eating more protein, uric acid started. Now I can't walk. You see how the life nature is? But I think, the science is a beauty. Science is an amazing thing. If you start understanding in common sense, it's a wonderful thing. But you need to understand it in common sense. Then it's the best science. But I think I still am passionate about science, and I remain a scientist.
Challenging?
Challenge? Challenges is there. As a scientist also we have challenges. Scientists also.
Where more? As an entrepreneur or a scientist? Where are you facing more challenges?
I think scientists are more challenging because we are competing globally. We are competing globally, not just in India. When we compete globally, science is a challenge. So now I have to compete with US scientists and European scientists. That's a challenge for us in a vaccine field. Because remember the vaccine field, very few companies in the world. Look at US, only Merck and Pfizer. And the third company, Moderna, has come now. I don't know. And the third, Europe, we have only two companies again, GSK and Sanofi, not many. So the intensity is very high. When you have few companies, intensity of the science is very, very high. So I think still scientists, as a scientist basically every day on science globalization issues, it's a challenge. Entrepreneurship, once you build, systems can drive, the entrepreneurship. But science cannot be driven by an entrepreneurship. It's a different game. And I think it's a tough job.
Then let's talk about the vaccine. I know you have so many people, but still you would like to know. This is the vaccine which put you and God Biotech on the global map. Not that made vaccines earlier. They were there in 160 countries, I think. But still, the recognition and all these things. How did you manage to create a vaccine so rapidly, and why you? When globally much larger companies were trying, what was your role and contribution in R&D and in scaling up?
No, I think I'm a scientist, I'm a vaccine expert, so knowledge we have. So what I looked at very simple, India needs a vaccine. It's like a nuclear. If you don't have the supporting system, then you can't be. So when you have a pandemic, nobody will give you technology. They're all controlled by so many methods. So I looked at only one thing. What can be done, a vaccine, which can be given to adults. Because child vaccination is very easiest. You give a child, your baby cries, you show them toy, the baby forgets about it. It's the easiest one to give vaccination in the world. And the best people to give vaccination is the child. The worst people to give vaccination is adults. Small reaction also. They keep noting down. And then I've seen some people writing a diary every 5 minutes. What is happening? So I knew this adult vaccination is one of the worst fields to be in. Okay? I looked at only one thing, safety is the most crucial in a vaccine. Vaccine should not hurt. If it doesn't help you, but it should not hurt. And that's the bottom line of a vaccine. So I looked at it, what can be produced is the safest vaccine, is inactivated, which is given to children. All children are given inactivated polio vaccine and rabies vaccine, all are inactivated same thing. It gives you 3 doses, it gives lifetime. Okay? So I looked at safety, the child safety is important for adults. That's only one thing I looked at it. And that's how the game started. I'm not going up and because of the vaccine sex. No, it's just scientific, it's just supposed to do the job. As a scientist, you're supposed to do the job. But anybody, somebody starving, if he knows something like food, he knows something he gets out there, poor people. So that's not something. It is everyone will do it. Everyone in this room, if somebody something, you do it also. Every one of you will do it also. So I think we'll reach out something, whatever you can do as a person. I think that's a common thing. But otherwise, it's nothing. The skill set was there, facility was there, ecosystem was there. We put in, but we looked at adults. Is the people to be careful because the adults again, you have VIPs, non-VIPs. That is another one. So you have so many dichotomous issues. That was the only thing. We looked at safety, nothing else.
Also, I think the organization was extremely good in terms of in the last 27 years. Our first priority was always to build science and technology platforms rather than building our balance sheets. I think that just made a big difference because we never told people in our company that we are going to become a $100 million company, $500 million company, because that was never discussed. The discussions were only about science, technology, academic research, and how do we catch up with the West. And when H1N1 came, Krishna maybe missed on that, but I just maybe add a point. This was about 10, 12 years ago, I think it was 2009 or so. We were one of the companies in India. We didn't have the strain at the time. The virus strain had to come from CDC, from the US, and it was under the between the governments. When India asked for the strain, the US released the strain to us, and we were also one of the organizations that were asked when the H1N1 pandemic, swine flu, in common words it was called swine flu. Many of you may remember now. So we did make the vaccine for that as well. So all these background work, the scientists, the employees, their positive attitude. Again, also, it's just not that the two of us sitting here can say that we made it. Or this is not, I don't know. I don't want to compare to anybody, but I'm just saying that it's not an individually driven game. It is a multifaceted game, 30, 40, 50 faculties involved in terms of building vaccine technology, and manufacturing is another cup of tea or another ball game altogether. I think enormous support came from our own people. I think that was important. They saw that we could do it. And we, in the past, we have gone through a lot of grind with a couple of other vaccines, the rotavirus vaccine, which we launched in 2015, the typhoid vaccine, which was launched in 2014, in that time frame. So there were multiple experiences which really gave a lot of strength to the entire organization as a whole. And I think without their support, two of us just could not have done anything much.
I would like to ask you regarding the 1998, the hepatitis vaccine, which you have released at that time. People will think, okay, they came, they did, they are successful. But what you had gone through at that time in releasing the vaccine, I think that you should share with everyone because it is not bed of roses. It is so much of struggle. I want the audience to listen to that.
I mean, it's a struggle. I mean, India is nothing but a struggle. So I think, so morning to evening you struggle and evening you sleep. That's the life. I think, when you launch a vaccine like the recombinant vaccine, people will not believe it. It takes time to believe the system. And when you sell it at an affordable price, then the question is it a quality, is it right? Indians, when you sell it at 1,000 rupees a dose, they think it's a good vaccine. If you sell it the same vaccine at 20 rupees, that's something else. It's not a great vaccine. It's not a good vaccine. And also doctors, they put a multinational, it's a 1,000 rupees dose, and Indian vaccine 100 rupees.
Please don't take any offense.
They create a doubt.
Okay, is anyone here who is in the medical practice?
No, it doesn't matter, but it's a fact. So, it's a wrong thing in the beginning. So
it was the brand that existed for the developed nations when they made their products, whether it was a vaccine or whether it was any other product. The brand that Japan says when they make something, or when Germany says when they make something, or when the US says or the UK jobs is. I think it's that brand that probably we as a country did not have, as a country, as technology builders. So I think that's what Krishna is referring to, is that then so can an Indian company make a product which is on par with an international brand or a company or a country which it comes from. That's what it's doing.
Suchitra, did you ever think that let's quit and go back?
No.
You never thought?
No.
You are always, whatever the situation, you always wanted to fight back. Wonderful. You are playing a double role as a partner at home and workplace. How challenging is that?
That was quite challenging. It was easy handling Krishna at work, at home maybe. No, as a student maybe yes. It was tough. It was very tough because I had young kids. I also had to be. I used to feel there was a few times when I felt that did I do the right thing for the sake of the kids? I never thought for myself because I said I was, I told you something. I'll come back to that point when alluded to coming back. Everybody in the United States whom we had known at that point of time, in the late 90s when we came back, asked us one question point blank. They said, "Do you guys know what you're doing?" We said, "I don't know." "What do you mean?" They said, "You look like fools to us." I said, "Why?" Because here you are, 14 years in the US. Both of us had our permanent residencies at that point of time. Our citizenship was under process. My children are growing up there. My son was born there. And they said, "You are making the biggest mistake of your lives by going back to India." I said, I know they were concerned. They were not trying to be, they were not saying this out of anything else but concern. I saw that in them. I knew that where they were coming from. So I said, wait, let us try it at least. We need to give it a shot. Because we never know whether what we want to do eventually in life, whether it's right or wrong, unless there is a starting point. And unless you go through that journey for 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, I said it doesn't matter if I fail, I fail. But I have no qualms about accepting that I have failed. But I have to try. Without trying, I'm sitting in the US and then saying I can do this for India. India doesn't need us, by the way. I knew that from day one. India does not need us. India is such a huge country that India can do for herself. She's big enough to do things for herself. So I never came back to India thinking that, or Krishna we never thought that, oh, here we are coming back from the US equipped with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and we are going to be contributing to this nation. No, wrong. We just thought that there are certain gaps, there are these challenges, but those gaps and challenges also give us the opportunities. So I think we looked at what are the opportunities that can be created in those gaps and challenges that existed in the country at that point of time. I think that drove us to come back to India. And I said, I'll come back to the US again because anyway my permanent residency was there. And I know I will get my citizenship that was not going anywhere. So I said, I'll come back. If I fail, I said, I'll come back. There's nothing wrong, but I want to give it a try. Because it's either do or die. You can't be on a gray rope and say that, yeah, I would like to do this, but I don't like India. I want to say this, but I don't like, somebody there. It's not possible that way. You have to get your feet dirty. You have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands in what you believe that you can do, or you can at least attempt and do.
Krishna, where are we in India in terms of science and research?
I think it's changing, very rapidly changing. I think today, I'm seeing the younger generation. They are driven by their own passion. So you look at, I always tell that when our generation, above 60s, we have had an economic pressure to do education, to get a job. That was the pressure. But now they're coming to the generation now, they are not caring about a job. So they want to do what they want. That's a great sign for the country. And I always tell, innovation is done by the individuals. So R&D is done by individuals. And innovation has to come from the individual, not from the company or the country. I think the individuals are different now. Individual means the human resources are totally different. But I think partly parents are also responsible now. The parent, one nice thing about the culture of this country is we don't mind selling a house to send the children for a higher education. So the culture that we've been built, ecosystem within our family, that we want to give knowledge to the children. I think that is there in the ground level. And I think that's going to be the future for the country. I think that's going to drive the future of the country. So I think the younger generation and every parents also are knowledge seeking. Suppose I want to buy a real estate, I don't think my mother or anybody will sell the house through the real estate. But they don't mind studying in a higher education. So I think that's a great culture we have. I think that's going to keep us alive.
But I think, Uma, what is missing or lacking is that I do see certain things now. I think we as a country, this is Vicky and this is FLO, and I also have represented women outfits at CII for the last decade and more. I find that as a country, as a nation, we still don't have women in science. We don't have women in technology. We have women everywhere else. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have engineers, we have computer science graduates, and everybody. I mean, we have politicians, we have excellent artists, performing arts, and the media and the entertainment. Everybody. I mean, musicians, athletes. But I still think that we as a country have the largest population of women on the face of this earth, which is 500 million women. I think that this is a great strength that this country should leverage itself on. Women in STEM is something that is extremely important for this country. And I think our girls and our children, the girl child has to be taught that their involvement in science and in STEM and in education and in career building. Another issue that I think most of us face is the attrition we have in women when they are in their mid-30s. Most of us being entrepreneurs and executives know this, that we lose, many of us are brilliant women to social reasons and sometimes whatever they are. But I think we need to engage with them, sustain them, support them, nurture them, and handhold them through that little time that they need. They need those bridges to cross over. If we can do that as organizations, I think we will retain all our women in the working force, whether it is science or any other field or area that they can excel in. I think that's important. I thought that should be my message today, through all of you, that all of us have a role that we can all play in it.
I just want to tell you about FLO. 98, 99, Amit Mitra was the Director General. Many people were not aware of it. I was sitting in one of the chairman of the committee, and they were discussing one of the topic is how do you bring women into the mainstream of the business. Because always only men. He was totally men. When you have a drinking point, only men none no ladies. So I think that was the discussion Amit Mitra. And I think Amit Mitra was instrumental. Now he is the finance minister in Calcutta. He was instrumental in putting the strategy on the floor. And how do you bring the woman into the business angle to the platform. I think that's a good thing because it brought the 50% of the human resources, not human resources, the human beings, brought it to the mainstream of it. I think that's in a way that.
Wonderful message from both of you. And final question to you, Dr. Krishna. What do you think you want your legacy in terms of science and in terms of the company you built in next few years?
I think, company will, but you don't know what my son will do, what my grandson will do, which I don't have in my control. I mean, we can only create a culture, and how to take that forward, the culture, is all depends on my next generation, third generation. Vaccine is a long-term growth. The vaccine companies usually survive more than 100 years, not like other companies which shorten. The vaccine companies are long. It takes ups and downs, a lot of ups and downs will be there, but it is close to it. And I think, I don't know, my long-term view, how do you keep this ecosystem continuing, that strategy of innovation, do the kind of what we can do to society at large, and what do we do for the country. And I think that concept, how children are going to take for it, is going to be challenging, and I don't know how. So, leave it to the nature.
Sometimes not planning too much and taking it on as it comes, I think brings us lots of many answers. Many of you are entrepreneurs as well, so I'm not trying to preach the choir here. But I think too much of planning sometimes doesn't help me at all. It just happens, goes with the flow. Did we know that we were going to be hit with the pandemic? No. But just being there, not running away from it, raising to the occasion, and trying to face it and attempt doing something. It doesn't matter, fail or again, not fail. And each one of us have contributed during the last 2 years. The nation has gone through so much. But I think as a nation and as a scientist, for us, the advantage we have is that he and his scientific team never give up. Whether it is chikungunya or whether it is Zika or whether it is rotavirus, when we made India the third country in the world to produce, to develop and to manufacture and deliver to the world an affordable rotavirus vaccine for $1 a dose, thanks to the Gates Foundation for supporting such kind of science and technology building platforms that are required in developing nations like ours. I think that's an important message that I think we need to give to our younger generation, that I think India at 75 is a great time frame. Many of us are first generation, I know in the room as well. Maybe some of our parents have been first generation. My father was a first generation engineer himself, worked his entire life for the country. And I think our children, the future generations, have a great platform now that's being created for them. The next 25 years down the line, I only see 3 countries in the world that are going to be in the top 3, and we all know who those 3 countries are. So I think it's a great time to take charge and also imbibe these value systems in our future generations, so that they know that they understand their own potential first, and they also know what's the potential of the ecosystem that they are in, and the power of, as Krishna said, the knowledge-driven society that we are. And with knowledge then comes everything else. Like I said, we never thought about balance sheets. We never, even to this day, sometimes we don't even discuss, not sometimes, we never discuss. Only if there is a board meeting, that day the CFO comes and we look at some numbers and some things that are, they come and brief us the details of it, the auditors and everybody. But otherwise it's science all the time, it's technology building all the time, it's manufacturing all the time. And that's what we do on a day-to-day basis. The last 2 years, I'll end by saying this, I don't want to take away your time from the rest of the evening and your program of your change of guard. I know how important it is. The last 2.5 years, Krishna and I believe in not staying at home and not working from home. There was no remote controlling from home on any of the activities and development and work for vaccine or for any other vaccine for that matter. Both of us would be driving 200 kilometers a day. We work out of shopping and our facilities after coming. And we felt that this was the time to be with our employees and our entire organization, because we felt that they needed us to be there with them, to be motivated, because they were also putting their lives on the line when they are working with a live virus in our facilities. So that responsibility was also something that was extremely important on us, on our shoulders, whether we make the vaccine or not, to be there for the entire organization, to feel motivated and to feel strengthened, that we could all do it together if possible. And I think that's what drove us further into this journey of making the vaccine. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful message, and it's really, really touching and heartwarming. That's why you are Padma Bhushan. Thank you so much. We are very, very proud of you. Especially Krishna Garu, with your leg coming like this. I'm really, really proud.
Thank you, Dr. Krishna Ella and Mrs. Suchitra Ella, for taking us all on this journey of good health and also sharing your inspiring journey with us. The kind of service you both are doing to the country and the world is quite remarkable, playing a pivotal role in safeguarding millions with the vaccine. Now we have to do our bit. We all have to keep our guards up, learn to endure and overcome the situation. On behalf of FLO Hyderabad, I would like to thank Mr. Krishna Ella, and now we would like to take a bio break for 10 minutes to see off the chief guest and start with the change of guard session. We will be starting the session in another 5 minutes.
ఫోన్లో చూసి ఒకసారి మీకు చెప్తాను ప్రోగ్రాంలో ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఏం తర్వాత ఒక్కసారి కాల్ చేస్తాను. नहीं खत्म कर दो नहीं ठीक से ले जरा बिजी से नहीं बोलते अरे आप पड़ेगा ना हाँ?